once again, wrestling fans, and welcome to Off the Top Rope Radio, heard worldwide on KQCK radio stations. I'm your host, Brian Shank, and in the next hour, we'll discuss all that is professional wrestling. You'll hear the latest news, informative interviews with the biggest stars in the business, and maybe even a few surprises along the way. It all starts right now on KQCK radio stations, USA and Costa Rica. Hello once again, wrestling fans, and welcome to a very special edition of Off the Top Rope Radio. We're glad to be here. We are live for today, Tuesday, May 27th, 2014, and we're being broadcast worldwide on KQCK radio stations, heard exclusively on KQCK.com. My name is Brian Shank, and we thank you for tuning in to the program for this special time and special show. It's a beautiful day out here in the East Valley of Arizona, and we are ready to go. Strap yourselves in and get ready, folks. Now, if you're a longtime wrestling fan like myself, then you know that last tune right there is the signature of one of the greatest histories in professional wrestling, one of the greatest wrestling factions to ever step foot inside the squared circle. And by that, I mean the fabulous Freebirds. Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Buddy Jack Roberts were two fine pieces of an elite wrestling group to terrorize world-class championship wrestling in the early 1980s. Feuding with the Von Erich family was one of the biggest draws in pro wrestling at that time, and they were led by their charismatic and outspoken mouthpiece, and they wreaked havoc everywhere they traveled. It's my pleasure now to bring him on the phone right now on Off the Top Rope Radio, Mr. Michael P.S. Hayes. Michael, how you doing, buddy?
Thank you. Thank you. And good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Boy, that's more time than I thought we were going to have. That's awesome. Hey, how you doing, man? Everything okay by you?
I'm doing great.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, it's a real pleasure to have you here. I think the last time, like I was telling you off the air, that we worked together was back in 95. Back in St. Charles, Illinois at the Pheasant Run Theater for the AWF. Special memories back then, but it's good to have you here back in 2014, and I know you're styling and profiling like always and having a great time working now at the World Wrestling Entertainment and have been for quite a while. Let's touch base just a little bit, if we can, Michael, on what you do at the WWE, because the finest wrestling organization and company in the world, and you're lucky enough to be with them.
Well, first of all, let's just, call a spade, and let's say that we're both shocked that since the last time we talked in 95, that here in 2014, I'm still alive.
Yeah, yeah, me too, probably.
Yeah, I've been with the WWE. This is my 20th year now.
Nice.
It's never a dull moment. It really isn't. It's a great organization that has great motivations. And even though it sounds like a silly little slogan, the main objective of the day is to put a smile on faces, not just in our country, but in every country that we're in globally.
Absolutely.
It's a demanding job, which is good for me because I need demands on my life, or otherwise I can get in trouble.
Yeah. You? No.
Yeah. Actually, I can get in trouble while I have demands on my life. But nonetheless, no, it's good. It's working for Vince McMahon is probably the most rewarding and frustrating thing all at the same time. It's kind of like being married.
Hey, I got 20 years in August coming up here, so I know exactly what you mean by that, brother.
Basically what I do is I have to last here 20 years, that means you have to do a bunch of jobs because that's how you get rewarded.
Sure.
If you do good work, you get another job.
Right. Lucky you.
But anyway, I have a lot to do with the live events, and from booking the cards to the promotion of them. In addition to that, helping the guys with their matches and the television programs and just about everything they throw my way. They want me to quit. They've been trying for 20 years. I won't do it.
You said earlier in the interview that it's quite challenging for you. I'm sure it is also for the WWE having Michael Hayes running around out there, man.
Oh, my God. You know what? There's plenty of times that they should have let me go.
I bet.
But I guess we have a fondness for each other.
Well, I'm glad that they didn't let you go because we're glad to have you here as part of Off the Top Rope Radio. Special guest here, Michael P.S. Hayes, and that stands for Purely Sexy, which is something that you obviously don't know about, you fans out there listening right now. So the only reason why I said that is because, Michael, you told me that back in 1995 in an interview, and it rang true, let me tell you.
exactly. Well, you know what? That's the beauty of the WWE Network now. For those that aren't aware of all of the great stars from my era, the '80s, that they can now go relive these moments or live them for the first time, catch up on what was what. Because I've said this a million times. There's been many, many great factions after us, and as you know, we have a factions DVD coming out today, as a matter of fact.
Hey.
But before there was the Road Warriors, the Four Horsemen, D-Generation X, there was the fabulous Freebird.
Amen.
And, you can never take that away. You can never change that history. That had we not been the ones responsible for making the mold, then there wouldn't have been others putting their talents in the mold to make it even better if possible.
You can't argue with greatness right there, and logic is certainly ringing true. The fabulous Freebirds, one of the greatest factions.
Not for me, I don't do logic.
Well, I know, but I think that sometimes we have to get a little bit logical here. When you say that you're a great faction, I mean, I was watching Raw last night. I saw the ad pop up for the WWE exclusive release today, as you mentioned, May 27th. Go out and get it, everybody. And I saw the factions, and I'm like, I better see the Freebirds. I better see the Freebirds. And bam, we saw a vignette of you talking to an announcer inside your car and saying, we're going to run the Von Erichs out of town. And I'll tell you what, all the great matches and the extended feud that the Von Erich family and the Freebirds have had over the years in world-class championship wrestling in the early 80s, like I talked about it before, Michael, it was a sellout every time you went there. The Sportatorium, if you went outside of Dallas, it didn't matter. When you had people like the Freebirds and Kevin and Kerry and David and Mike and all the greats involved, like you and Terry. And I forgot to mention, too, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, who was kind of a Freebird after the fact, not so much in world class, of course, but later on in WCW when you won the tag team championships with him a couple of times. But what a great group, and I can't wait to see this DVD coming out today. Matter of fact, when we're done today, I'm going down the store to Blockbuster or wherever I can get it, and I'm going to buy it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because World Class Championship Wrestling really it set the tone for the 80s.
Yes, it did.
Especially from a technical side, with the 6 cameras and the ring being mic'd, and bringing the action into your living room and off your TV set much more than it ever had been before. And when we first went out there, and you can it's documented. You can look when I first went there before I brought Terry and Buddy and before Jimmy came,
right?
And a plethora of other great talent.
Yes.
There was hardly anybody there. They didn't even have 2 rows of ringside filled up, and that quickly changed, thank God. But Jimmy Garvin, first of all, Jimmy was always an unofficial Freebird because you cannot. First of all, I could not tell you on this radio interview, and you cannot imagine the parties that we used to have at the Freebird Casa there in Irving, Texas.
Casa de Freebird.
Yeah, and back in the world class days, back in '83, and Jimmy and Sunshine had their own apartment. They never went there.
Wow.
they just hung at our place.
That's hilarious.
And it was quite interesting. I mean, the first night we got the place, Terry kicked the door in. Excellent. Later that night, he took to the living room table, somehow skimmed it off the roof through the sliding glass doors.
Nice.
And we christened the place.
Well, when you're the greatest rock and roll band in the world, like the Freebirds were, you should be doing things like that. I mean, you shouldn't walk in there and start dusting the place. Let's start tearing it up.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess age is setting in because sometimes I look back and go, what the hell were you guys thinking?
Well, you probably weren't. I don't think.
And then the worst thing was is that we never got in trouble for it. So, you had no kind of, checks and balances, I guess. As long as you were getting away with it, you thought it was fine and it was part of the aura, if you will.
Leave the checks and balances to the federal government. You ain't got to worry about that in professional wrestling.
Why? They don't do a good job.
That's why I'm saying leave it to them because there's no need to do it anymore here in professional wrestling. But you talked about World Class Championship Wrestling, and I totally agree with you, Michael, in terms of it being such a prestigious group of wrestling, and it was ahead of its time. It really did set the tone, so to speak, of professional wrestling with the camera angles, with the spontaneity, with just the fine wrestling product inside the ring, the psychology, the matches, the build-up, the great blow-off matches. Everything about it was tremendous, and if you go back, and like you talked about the WWE Network, if you go back and watch some of the world-class wrestling shows and you just see and feel the magic inside that building, it's really kind of a magical aura and a plethora, like you said earlier, to use that $5 word. It rang true. I mean, the wrestling fans out there, just like Mid-South and in New York with the WWF back in the day and the NWA and Mid-Atlantic and whatnot and all these great territories in Georgia, they had their legion of fans who were so determined and so faithful. And when the Freebirds and the Von Erichs and people like Brian Adias Thesz and all these greats who came out there and would put their blood and sweat and tears inside that ring every day. That was very special.
It was special, and the plethora of talent. Hey, I've used it more than you know.
We're up to $15.
Those guys were the unsung heroes in the sense that, no matter what you do, you can go to a good steakhouse and, you like the steak, but there's going to be somebody that may go to that steakhouse because they like the way they cook the chicken or they like the vegetables or the salad bar. Mm-hmm. And my point is you have to have variety. And, not everybody was over the top with Freebirds and Von Erichs. Most everybody, but you have to think about that other portion of the audience. Mm-hmm. And that's where your, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin against David Von Erich rivalry, Iceman King Parsons and Buddy Jack Roberts, which was one of the greatest I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Gentleman Chris Adams and Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. I mean, you had some great talent, the Super Destroyers, Bill and Scott Irwin.
Oh, yeah.
And, Akbar and his group. Kamala.
Oh, yeah. The Ugandan Headhunter, baby.
Huh?
The Ugandan Headhunter, baby.
Yeah, you just, the missing link came through. Yeah. And I mean, there was just, it was a great variety package.
Yep. We're speaking to Michael P.S. Hayes right here, the Freebird himself, and we're glad to have him here on Off the Top Rope Radio. Brian Shank hanging with you here on KQCK radio station, heard exclusively on KQCK.com. Now I got all legality stuff out of the way. We can actually talk more wrestling here. And, moving on from World Class, because, that is obviously where you made your stay, and I know we're kind of up against the clock. We don't have a ton of time because we could spend probably a week and a half talking about the career that you've had in Georgia and everywhere else, but moving on and whatnot into World Class Championship Wrestling from there to WCW. It kind of carried over nicely because we saw a lot of changes going on, and then before that, the UWF, of course. Terry Bam Bam Gordy, former world champion in the UWF, and you guys wreaked havoc there as well. It's amazing when I look at your thing here on Wikipedia and I look back at just some of the mental notes that I made and whatnot. I look back at all the things that you've accomplished with all these wrestling groups. If there was a wrestling ring in a city in the United States, I'm sure that you were in that.
Well, yeah, or a bar.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one came first.
That's funny.
We had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It started with me and Terry. And we were teenagers in a man's world. And,
nice.
I knew that he could, and he did too.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that he was just a phenom when it came to in-ring talent.
Right.
I knew that I was not as far advanced in my in-ring talent. Nonetheless, I knew I brought, my share of the duos needs to climb the ladder, and that by being able to run my mouth. And he knew he was a little deficient in that, and we knew that both of us would make it.
Yep.
But if we combined our efforts, we'd make it a lot quicker. And then once again, he's 16, I'm 18, and we're, everybody else is in the twilight of their career. They're 35, 40. They're bitter. They're sour.
Sure.
Thank God for Frankie Kane, the great Mephisto, who put us together.
Nice.
And many people had a big helping hand with the Freebirds. Names that a lot of people don't know: Mike the California Hippie Boyette, Afa and Sika, especially the Wild Samoans.
Sure.
And my point is that the kids today, they are such better athletes than my era. But the one thing that I noticed that they don't possess, at least not most of them, I'm seeing some signs of new life in this area, but for a lot of them, it's a job. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a strong proponent that you can never make it as far as you want to as long as you treat it like a job, because it's not a job, it's a way of life.
Right.
And that's what it was for us. And every day was just a wild trip, no telling what was going to happen. And it got wilder once Buddy was added to the group, which we did not want anybody added to our group ever. Bill Watts did that for business purposes, and even as much as we were against it at first, it was the best decision ever made, the best addition to the Freebirds, and Buddy became a brother for life.
Yeah, I thank God for Bill Watts for pulling that out of his cranium, because that was a heck of a move by putting Buddy Jack in there. I just couldn't imagine the Freebirds being what they are today 30 years ago without Buddy Jack Roberts, and unfortunately we don't have him anymore, as well as Terry Bam Bam Gordy. They left us here in the last 15 years or so. And I look back at the great matches that were involved. And when you talk about someone like Terry Bam Bam Gordy and yourself and Buddy Jack and even Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin for that matter, you were a unit, you were a team, you were one of the greatest greatest wrestling factions. Remember, out on DVD today, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. And it was
a plugster.
You like that? They call me the Shankster, the Plugster. I like that. So,
okay.
Yeah. But the thing is that when you look at that, you were all such a cohesive group, but yet so different in your own ways. I mean, Terry Bam Bam Gordy was a very large individual, but he can get in there and bust his ass and work a great match scientifically, physically, technically, just as good as anybody else inside that ring. If you put him in there against Chris Adams, who is a sound European proficient wrestler, he can go out there and have one of the greatest matches, and you wouldn't probably think so based on saying, oh, it's a big guy, he can't do this. And Buddy Jack, the same thing. I mean, maybe not the biggest, strongest wrestling guy and muscular and tone and everything like that, but you all had your special talents, and you all did it so well, and that's what made the Freebirds the Freebirds.
Well, yeah, and the diversity was something that we were very aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing happened happenstance. Nothing was accidental.
Right.
As crazy and wild as we were, we did have constant business meetings. We did always, which I think is a lost art now too, is ride up and down the road every night, reevaluate your match, reevaluate, what you're doing, what you're not doing. And
sure.
You'll notice, like from the outfits, we started. Trying to get that music started was quite an obstacle in itself. But then the outfits, we made sure that it mirrored what we were. Because to your point, we weren't clones. We weren't identical triplets or something.
Right.
We all had our own identity, and each outfit would match the other person's outfit, but it would also be tailored to that person's personality. Buddy with the jacket, me with the long flowing robes, and Terry with the vest and the chaps.
Yes.
And by doing that, we kind of had a shotgun scatter effect on the audience, because once again, it's a variety. Everybody's not going to like something.
Right.
A lot of people did like Terry Gordy, and if you got to know him, what a great guy he was, and what a good old country boy he was, you just loved that guy. Buddy was that little shithouse rat that, that you just couldn't help but love. And me, I was the asshole, and I stayed constant.
Hey, you know what? And to this day in 2014, you probably still think you are, right? I mean, that's...
no, I know I am.
Oh, you know you are. Okay, very good.
Hey, just ask all the kids that work for me.
Hey.
I'm having a lot of fun. I really am. I'm really blessed to be here. I'm probably 20 years on borrowed time.
Nice.
But everything's good, and I'm very, very humbled by what's going to happen next Wednesday with this award at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Yep.
I almost find it comical, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way at all. That I am receiving the Lou Thesz Award.
Well,
it's the furthest thing from Lou Thesz that God ever created.
Well, maybe so, but in terms of having that a lifetime achievement, which goes along with the Lou Thesz Award. And again, this is the Lou Thesz Lifetime Achievement Award being honored this year at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and the recipient is my guest right here, Michael P.S. Hayes, the Freebird baby. And if you think about it, some of the greats who also won this award going back to last year, he left us prematurely. Bill Moody, Mr. Paul Bearer had won that. You worked with him many times as Percy Pringle back in the day. And before that...
Yeah, and I just like to stop you right
sure,
there.
Sure, please.
That makes it even so much more important. I know that Edge won the award, and Adam and I are very close.
Yeah.
But Percy and I started together way back in like '77.
Oh wow.
And we traveled together. I mean, he was the first guy to probably ever heard my dreams of the fabulous Freebird gimmick and how it was going to happen. And of course, him, like most everybody else, when they first heard it, was would raise their eyebrows and God, this guy's crazy. This will never happen. You'll never have rock and roll in wrestling. But nonetheless, we stayed close over the years,
nice.
And to be the person to get that award after him means as much about the award as anything. And speaking of the award, and I'll tell you what I told Carl when this first came up, because I'd never been able to go to the Cauliflower Alley Club. This will be my first time, because
awesome. 9
times out of 10 until this year, they held their annual convention right after WrestleMania.
Yep.
Right after WrestleMania, I always take a vacation, and I need a break from wrestling.
Sure.
I need a break from Vince McMahon, but I need a break from wrestling. And so, going to a wrestling convention, even though I know I'd run into a lot of great friends that I haven't seen in a while, just did not seem like what I wanted to do. When they moved it to June, then I was in. But like I told Carl, and I want everybody to know this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, this is not an award for Michael Hayes. This is an award for the fabulous Freebirds.
Nice.
Because without Buddy, without Terry, there was no Michael Hayes.
I like it.
It's just a honest and equal contribution from each person, and that includes Jimmy too down the line when he joined.
Sure.
Officially, it was a team effort. That's the only way it would get done. Everybody had to have their own responsibilities and fulfill those responsibilities. You know, in my case, I was the guy that was out front, so I got a little bit more of the spotlight, but nonetheless would never have been able to have that spotlight without those guys. So, you know, I just want to stress that this isn't my award. This is our award.
Very well said and very commendable by your actions there. I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, we talked about
commendable, Brian.
Well, you know, in this case, you are. We got to put it all out to the side here and just say what you did here. I mean, that's a tremendous honor, and I'm sure that, you know, Terry and Buddy Jack looking down from heaven and smiling at you for saying that, because I know darn well that they are a big part of this, and I know how much you feel about them, and this is great. And I have a feeling that when you get your acceptance speech up there in Las Vegas here coming up next week, there's going to be a few tears in your eyes, I'm sure, and well-deserved. And you talked about Bill Moody, you know, winning this award.
That's probably for the smoke in the room.
Well, no, there's no smoking in this room. You just go downstairs to the casino with me, and we'll play some poker. Then you'll see some smoke, baby. But, you know, some of the other names, too, with this great award, like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Rick Martel and Nick Bockwinkel and Dan Severn. I can go on forever, but this just goes to show it, just those 4 or 5 names that I mentioned, what a great award this is. And there's other people that are going to be there as well. One of your counterparts who I just talked to last week, too, Terry Taylor, winning the Iron Mike Mazurki Award. And these are the top 2 awards in such a great, prestigious group like the Cauliflower Alley Club. And you say it's your first time. I hope it won't be your last.
Yeah, and I do too. And once again, you know, now moving into summertime will free up my schedule to,
Good.
You know, hopefully not make this my only trip out there. I've also got a surprise, but before I get to that, you know, congratulations to Terry Taylor. Terry has he started around the time I did. He's always been a consummate professional, and you know, most of the guys from my era were. You know, once again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, you know, it can't be a job. It has to be a way of life.
Sure.
And even though, you know, sometimes you got to try to separate the two, which is a very difficult task at times. But Terry took this very seriously, and that's why he was so successful and still continues to contribute. You know, I'll see him Thursday as we go down to NXT for TakeOver.
Excellent.
And, you know, speaking of that real quick, just to digress, you know, I'm so proud of NXT.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
should be.
And some of the products that have come out there that warm my heart to think maybe we can get this business a little bit back to like it used to be. And, you know, that being the Wyatts, the Shields, you know, Big E, Adam Rose now, you know, characters and but people that can still get it done when the bell rings. So, and Terry's and a lot of the guys down there are very responsible for the growth of these kids, and it's important. You know, back in my day, if we'd have had that, it probably could have made us better. That being coaches, if you will. However, we probably would have told them to go to hell, kiss our ass. We're going to do what we want to do anyway, and probably would have shucked the great advice they may have had for us.
Yeah,
we did do that sometimes. But,
not you, no, not Michael Hayes.
No,
come on, no way, man. You know, you talk about
by the way, I got to go. Church is calling.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, put him on hold, baby. No, you talk about NXT, and what you're trying to tell me is that you do believe. Get it? Believe that NXT can be a great thing and is a great thing.
Great.
I try. You know, you said I was a great plugger there. I'm going to try to be a great little one-liner here too as well. But no, I like NXT, and like you said too, if you would have had this back in your day, maybe it would have kept you out of a few more bars, maybe put you into a few more gyms. Who knows? Maybe a gym with a bar. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
you know?
and I visited those, and trust me, I have run this over my mind a million times, and unfortunately, and this is not the politically correct thing to say, I do not think that would have worked for us. I think that would have taken the edge off of who we were.
Yeah.
You have to remember the time that we were in. Unfortunately, and I don't subscribe to this anymore, but back then it wasn't just say no; it was just say yes.
Yeah, I know.
And many things in life, and we didn't have a problem saying yes.
Yeah.
But you know, now is now, and that's what's important. And,
Excellent.
And you know, from the wellness program to and some people I guess are bitter about all the perks that the kids get today. I am not. I think it's great. I think it makes the business better. It makes them better people. Certainly better businessmen and women.
Right on.
Which is important. You know, trying to steer them on how to take care of their finances. And you see it. You know, I just came off a European tour where it was really cool to see the bonding going on between the crews, because usually it's, go to TV, go to the pay-per-view, jump in the car, go here and there. They got to travel together on buses.
Right.
And, not all of them bond, but you could see a lot more of it, more time to get to know each other and to help and learn, the veterans helping, the newbies, if you will. And I feel good about the shape of our business going forward.
Good.
But going to my surprise, I am very proud
Yes.
to say that introducing me next Wednesday, June 4th, at the Cauliflower Alley Club will be none other than the legendary comedian George Wallace.
That's what I was hearing in the rumor mill. That's hilarious, man. I mean, George Wallace. Now, how long have you guys been friends?
Too long, if you ask me.
Really?
George? No.
He might say the same.
We've been friends for a while, and I've been a fan of his even longer. He's just got one of the great comedic minds and timing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
And, and just like most great comedians, they take the truth and just hit you in the face with it, and you see how comical life really is without it even trying.
That's
but
amazing.
I'm honored to have George introduce me. Once again, I'm really honored to have the award.
Excellent. Yeah, and well deserving too, Michael. Seriously, well deserving.
Yeah, thank you. But like I said, I didn't get it by myself.
That's true.
I'm not going to accept it for myself.
There you go.
So, are you going to be there?
I'm definitely going to be there, my friend. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing.
Well, I'm not going there.
Oh, okay. I'm going to stay home then. You can go. I'll stay home. Now, as a matter of fact, the reason why I say that is because I'm going to be doing a really nice documentary in regards to the CAC. Next year is our 50th reunion. This is where we're going to kind of showcase a lot of things. I'm going to do a lot of filming. I'm going to be doing a lot of voiceover stuff and whatnot. I'm going to make it all look really nice. I'm going to present this to Carl, get it out on the internet, just so everybody can enjoy and really see what the experience is all about with the CAC. And I hope that, you get a chance to be part of it as well. I'll throw a microphone in your face and a camera and have a few words with us.
Okay. I'm not scared.
Okay. That's funny stuff. Hey, okay, Michael, before we go, because I know you're kind of on a tight schedule here, and I just want to first of all say thank you so much for joining us here on Off the Top Rope Radio. It really meant a lot to us, and what a great award coming up here with the Thesz Lifetime Achievement Award coming up next week in Las Vegas, Gold Coast Hotel, the Cauliflower Alley Club, the 49th annual. You got to get out there and check it out. If you don't, you're stupid. Try it next year. Okay.
Wait, where's it at?
The Gold Coast Hotel.
Where?
Gold Coast? Do you happen to have like an open...
Huh? No, they just told me to go to the Strip, keep walking up and down, I'd find it.
Oh, well, then you can do that too. Yeah, just look for the guys with all the rebel flags waving. I'm sure you'll find it pretty easily. Nice.
Yeah, there'll be tons of them.
Now, before
I'm really looking forward to it. I am, as you know, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And some people may or may not. I do not do these things hardly at all.
I know.
And believe it or not, a guy that made a really good living for running his mouth. Sometimes doesn't feel comfortable running his mouth anymore.
Well,
but something tells me next Wednesday night I'm not going to have a problem with that.
No. And let's see how good you run your mouth with this, because I always like to add something at the end of the interview. It usually takes about 2 or 3 minutes, and I want to get your very quick licks on this, because it's 5 quick questions. Easy for me to say. 5 quick questions with Michael Hayes. The first thing that comes to your mind, just spoot it out, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. If I could spend 5 minutes with anybody, living or dead, that person would be?
Ronnie Van Zant.
Oh, very nice. I would too. That'd probably be up on my big list right there. Yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. Okay. One wrestler that I never got a chance to work with, either inside the ring or out, that I wish I could have, is?
Well, when you say inside or out, obviously I've done a lot of work outside the ring with Shawn Michaels, but I regret the fact that I never got to work inside the ring with Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, that would have been a good match. I could see that now. Shawn Michaels of say 2000 against...
He stole all my stuff, and he did it better.
Yes, he did do it very well. I wouldn't say better because, I do like Shawn Michaels. Would you? Okay. Well, I don't want to, damn anybody here, but I think when you talk about one of the greatest workmen in the whole world in professional wrestling, Shawn Michaels is in top 10 easily.
Sports entertainment, pal.
I'm sorry. Sports entertainment, absolutely. Top 10 without a doubt. Thank you very much for correcting me there, Michael. I stand corrected. I also stand
about. That was Vince that corrected you.
How you doing, Mr. McMahon? Oh,
I'm doing great, pal. How are you?
I'm honored you called me pal. Thank you for the laugh. I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Let's go on with the other 3 here. Besides the Freebirds, the greatest rock and roll band ever is?
Leonard Skinner.
Of course. I pretty much wrote that in already, but I thought in case I had to erase it, I would, but that's pretty easy.
That was a layup. And you know what? That's not a slam dunk.
No.
Because, just for the record, while, Freebird is my favorite song of all time.
Right.
A close second is Only God Knows Why by Kid Rock.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah, that's my second.
I take too many pills. Yeah, I like that song.
Well, hey, all right, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Look, if you got problems, kid, we've got a program that can help you, okay?
A lot of folks with me. Yeah, I like that's a great song.
You blame them. No wonder.
Hey,
your smart-ass attitude.
They're knocking on my door right now. Leave me alone. I'm talking to Michael PSAs, damn it. Thank you. Sorry about that, Michael, for the interruption. They're throwing stuff at me as I speak right now.
Pillheads. I can't stand them.
No, I love that song. Kid Rock. I'm not a huge Kid Rock fan, but that is one of the greatest songs. If you ever just want to feel bluesy and feel down, that is a great song, and I recommend anybody. Yeah, without a doubt.
It's really good stuff. It's great live, too.
Okay. All right, here's another one for you. The oddest thing or item or whatever that a fan ever asked me to sign for them was?
Well, I signed a few breasts.
Of course.
I don't know that I would, label that as odd.
Wait a minute. Chicken or turkey breasts? Which one have you seen?
The dual breast kind that lay below the shoulder blades and above the waist.
I got you.
I did think it was odd that they asked me to do that at McDonald's.
Yeah. Unless you were getting a sandwich.
Yeah, I think, some, girls' underwear or something, especially those that had been washed in a while. No.
Sports entertainment, pal.
I think, one time some parent asked me to sign their kid's face.
Really?
And I just looked at him and I said, no. Matter of fact, I should hit you in the face.
Yeah.
Suggesting I should sign their face.
Yeah.
What kind of chance does this kid have? And, no, it's okay. He does it all the time. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah. Hello. If it's not the solution, it is a problem. And I don't understand why I see that all the time with these kids. Wrestling matches like independent shows and whatnot. Matter of fact, when I did some ring announcing way back in the day for this one group out here, they asked me to sign their face, and I was like, no, I'll sign your shirt instead because I don't want to sign body parts. And that's kind of odd. And not only that, but what's the thrill? It's going to wash off anyway. I mean, why would you want to wash off, a wrestler's autograph and not make it a tattoo? I can maybe see that. But if you're not going to do that, then why would you want somebody to sign your face or your neck or your hands?
I mean, there's so many why questions.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes, bless their hearts, people come up for an autograph and then they just don't know how to go.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably want to go, they want to leave, but they don't know how to gracefully do it. And, you'll sign the autograph and you go, well, there you go.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then there's that awkward pause, and it's like, all righty, have a good one.
You take care, buddy.
Just sit there and stare at you, and then you're going like, okay, are they going to go? And then it's like they ask you, so having a good day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a great day. And you?
And then you say yes,
okay.
Mr. Then you say yes, Mr. Yes, Mr. Slater.
Have a better day if you get the hell out of here. Right?
Do you say back to them, yes, Mr. Slater, I am having a good day? No, I'm just kidding. I love them. I love them. Okay, one last question for you here with the top 5. If I was going to the electric chair, which maybe I should have for some of the things I've done, my last meal request would be. I think we're out of who.
I can't say that on the air.
That was mine as well.
Yeah, no, that would just be the hors d'oeuvre. Something Italiano.
Something Italiano, like a chicken de parmesan?
No, probably penne with chicken and
nice.
Any pasta, salad with some bruschetta.
I like it.
And something like that, I think so.
Maybe like an Alka-Seltzer afterwards? You probably don't care because you're going to fry in the chair.
What good's the Alka-Seltzer going to do if you're going to an electric chair?
That was the joke right there. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But you know what? We could sit here and talk, like I said, forever and everything, but I wanted to ask you a couple things about some of your wrestling moves just really quick before we let you go because I know you're on a tight schedule and we do appreciate it.
But you keep saying that. You keep asking questions.
Well, you keep answering them. So, I mean, I got to keep.
On you, pal.
All right. Just one last thing. The one thing I liked about Michael Hayes is your wrestling style was.
There's only one thing.
Well, the wrestling, yeah. Well, no, there's two things, but we'll leave that alone. I can't say it on the radio. But anyway, what I'm saying is that your wrestling style was very unmatched to a lot of people inside the ring. And I remember a lot of the things that you did were kind of interesting because I never saw anybody do it. I remember one of the moves I still do to this day, just to kind of piss the wife off sometime in the kitchen, is when someone was going for a clothesline, you duck it, turn on real fast, and give him a quick left. I mean, a real quick left jab to the face. Was that something that you just started doing one day in the ring? I mean, where did you get that move from? Was it something that you modified? I mean, I love that move, just that quick bam, that jab to the face.
Well, thank you. No, actually what I did, which is kind of what any great performer ever does, is I stole it.
Okay. Like Shawn Michaels did with you.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And made it better in my view. Hispanic legend, Jose Lothario.
Yes. Trained Shawn Michaels.
World-class championship wrestling. He was known as Super Sock, and he had this uppercut left hand. And it came out of nowhere and really, rattled you. And I saw that, and I went, wow, that is really cool.
Awesome.
And, there was a couple things that were cool to it. It was left-handed, which at the time, and probably still today, most competitors don't throw left-handed punches.
Right.
So, that was unique. And I just took it and went with it. It's the same kind of thing because I was trying to be different. I knew, I wasn't the greatest in the ring, but I knew what I did had to be, pretty, top-notch or at least pretty eye-opening. No pun intended to all the guys that ever took that left hand. But, there was the same theory I did with the moonwalk. Once the moonwalk came out, I had to figure out how to do that, which took me months and months. And then I finally figured out how to do it because it's not easy to do on canvas because there's a lot of resistance.
Sure.
But and just like the Bad Street USA, I stole that from Bad Leroy Brown.
Love it.
So I guess my greatest accomplishment in life as a fabulous Freebird is I'm a thief.
I was just going to say you're a crook, you're a thief, you're a ripoff, you're a con artist. Yeah. Hey,
I'm proud to say it.
But you know what? They say the first thing is to admit it, and you're doing just fine with that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I sleep better at night knowing I stole something.
You know what else, too, here? It's May 2014. 30 years ago this month, we saw Kerry Von Erich defeat Ric Flair for the thank you, Rick, for the heavyweight championship.
What an event that was.
You were there.
What an event that was.
You were there.
I was there. It was 120 degrees on the field. It was amazing. And that night, later on, we debuted our Bad Street video. It was It was a huge day for the fabulous Freebirds.
Yes,
but,
it was.
I got a huge day ahead, man.
I know you do. I do. Listen, Michael Hayes, just want to say one thing again. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas here in about a week. It's my pleasure to have you here on the show. Thank you once again. And anything you want to say to the wrestling fans out there real quick?
Yeah, man. I just appreciate all the time that you guys watched and supported the Freebirds. Still continue to watch and support WWE.
Nice.
You may have heard this in many different versions, but the truth is the truth, and that is without the fans, without their support, whether they love you or hate you, as long as they got some emotion, we can't do it without you.
Right on. Michael, have a good one. Safe flight, safe travels to you. Keep kicking ass out there, buddy. We do appreciate your time.
See you next week.
All right, sounds good. All right, there you go. Michael Hayes checking us out here on Off the Top Rope Radio. It was an honor to have him here. And like he said a minute ago, he doesn't really do a lot of things.